I'm Davey.
I'm Misty.
DMWATS.
Unscripted.
Unedited.
Unapologetic.
Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? I'm Davey.
I'm Misty.
And you guys, welcome to another episode of DMWATS podcast. So much stuff to talk about. Before we get into it, let's start it off. Crypto.com. Make sure you check under Misty, search for Misty. You guys can check our bomb NFTs that we got over there. It's pretty good. You guys should take a look at them. The tumultuous tiki set is pretty nice. And we got more of them coming out. So you guys be on the lookout for that. DMWATSpodcast.com. Also, you can find us on these streaming services. Doge, AMC, Shiba. And of course, we still about that say time of life. And Lisa says hello. You got it. So many things have happened in the past few days. Okay, so
many things.
So many things.
So many things that make me angry.
Yeah, we just got a lot of things to talk about. We're gonna try to get to the fishbowl. If we go on a rant, that's fine too. And we'll get to the fishbowl tomorrow. But here it is. So let's start off with the obvious. I think the obvious Chiefs loss. I saw that. Kansas City Chiefs loss. That was the obvious. that was obvious. And so here's the thing. I don't really watch sports. I just don't.
I didn't watch the game.
Yeah, we didn't watch the game, but living in Kansas, you know when the Chiefs lose. Because no matter what store you go into, that's the topic of conversation. The Chiefs lost, and there was a lot of money lost yesterday.
Yeah.
There was a lot of money lost on Sunday.
Sorry, I'm watching. I'm watching the puppy.
We have to watch our dog too. She's down here sniffing. We just making sure she ain't doing nothing silly with her sniffing. But seriously, no. So that happened. Not that that's
happened.
Major headline of news, but
they had a great season. And that is a game.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Some people win, some people lose.
You can't win them all. You can't win them all. That's what people
there's
gotta...
next year.
Exactly.
And I mean,
yeah.
Okay, it happens.
And then it is. So also what has happened over this past week, this last week that it ran, deep into the weekend, we got to talk about it. So one of the big things now, we also know about the Supreme Court, right? The guy that's retiring. The guy that's retiring, and President Biden said, "Hey, I'm gonna put a black woman on the bench." Apparently, that has a few people upset too, but whatever.
Get over it.
Get over it. Would it be? I guess it would be better if he just did it instead of announcing it, but.
Well, it usually is.
Yeah,
though.
it is better.
Like, don't announce.
Nobody needs to. You can just do it, and then everybody be like, "Okay, cool."
Vet your candidate, see if they get through, and then we get what we get.
That's what it is. It was a black woman, fine, and it was like, but at the same time, we also got to look at the flip side of that coin. No matter what you do as president, there's always somebody that's gonna have a problem with it. No matter what you do as president, if you're a Democrat, you're immediately wrong to the Republicans. If you're a Republican, you're immediately wrong to Democrats, no matter what you're trying to do.
And if you're an independent, you don't have an opinion.
That's when they be like, who?
Yeah.
I haven't seen an independent in a debate at all, ever. I ain't saying it's never happened. Was it Ross Perot? It was an independent. Ross Perot. But hey, you'd be hard pressed to find an independent that's putting up numbers like that. But unfortunately, now let's get to the meat and potatoes of what's going on. This is what got my wife folding her arms all of a sudden. So unless you living under a rock, you know about Spotify. Everybody knows what's going on with Spotify and Joe Rogan. So for those that don't know, baby, you tell them, because you folding your arms, you need to get this out.
No, so Joe Rogan has a podcast. I'm sure all of you know that because you're listening to a podcast. If you don't know, Joe Rogan is a man that has a podcast. Okay. This man has had a podcast forever. Okay. This is before Spotify paid whatever many millions so that he was on there. Yeah. He had a podcast. I
think it was like 200 million or something he got.
And at that point, it doesn't even matter.
No.
He was a popular podcast before Spotify. I have been listening to him forever. And he's always had controversial people on there. His job is to interview them, have a discussion with them, and then go on to the next show. He's not there to disprove them, call them out, anything like that. That's not what his show is. His show is bringing people on and having an honest to God discussion with them. He's not there to do anything. He's not an interviewer in that way.
Yeah.
So he has an opinion. It's his show. And someone came on a month ago and said that Ivermectin is the way to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
For those who don't know what Ivermectin is, it's it's a medication.
It's medication for parasite.
Yeah, for parasite in horses.
You can in humans too.
In humans too.
You can go to the Mayo Clinic. You can Google Ivermectin and see what the Mayo Clinic has to say and see what a human dosage is. River blindness and the other one I can't pronounce are the two parasitic things that they will give it to you for as a human.
Right.
So this guy says, no, that treats COVID. Okay, fine, whatever. And maybe Joe Rogan believes it. I don't know. I don't give a shit. I don't care what Joe Rogan believes in. He has a good podcast. I'm not, as a listener, going to run out and go get Ivermectin and take it. Why? Oh, I don't know. Because I do my own research. Even when my own doctors tell me to take medication, what do?
Yeah, look it up first.
And I will sit there and argue with the doctor. Will I not?
Yep.
Always have. I don't believe anybody.
Yeah.
I believe when I read it and go over all the warnings and everything.
Yeah.
Because I have a brain.
Yeah. But you also believe the other part of that is that you take other medications. That's why they tell you, hey, tell your doctor all about your medications. You can. And they're gonna be like, okay, still won't check. They won't check. And they'll just prescribe you this. If you
That's
don't do
why
your own
you've got to
research,
talk to your pharmacist.
Yeah, if you don't do your own research or talk to your pharmacist. Besides the point, we're not going down that rabbit hole.
It's not even about that. So now people are up in arms. Artists are up in arms and are pulling their music because of Joe Rogan talking about Ivermectin. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's spreading misinformation. Okay, I get it. But at what point do people not get to say what they want to say anymore?
Yeah.
They're an artist in some form. So as much as you want to pull your music, good for you. Joe Rogan has a right to say what he wants to say or what he believes. Same thing. And I just don't believe it's the issue.
Yeah.
Because you guys are sitting there going, no, this is dangerous to the American people. How? It's not dangerous to me in any way, shape, or form. I'm not stupid enough to take something that I don't know anything about.
Yep.
And that's where I have an issue, because why aren't we allowed to think for ourselves? Why do we have to be pushed by celebrity? Why are people just blindly following people? That's where I get mad.
Yeah. And so here's the deal. With Joe Rogan, he's been on for like ever though. Joe Rogan has been on for a while, and then he got popular in it.
Yeah.
He's been doing his podcast for a while. I mean, the thing is that I feel like that they are focusing on this particular topic that Joe Rogan was talking about. Now, anybody listening to Joe Rogan Experience will tell you that his podcast is on for about a good hour, sometimes hour and a half, depending on who he has on there. You know what I mean? And so for to say that he's spreading misinformation, I'm not saying he's not spreading the misinformation, but here's the other side of that. If you listen to Joe Rogan, he will say that he agrees with something or disagrees with something. He'll call bullshit and say, "Nah, that's bullshit to me. Here's why." And the other guy will explain his side too. He doesn't say, "No, this guy is wrong. No, this guy's wrong. Nobody follow this guy." He is not saying everybody take Ivermectin.
What I've heard him say when he disagrees with someone is, okay, well, maybe that's good for you.
Joe Rogan. You got to understand something. Even if Joe Rogan feels that Ivermectin, however you pronounce the damn thing, even if he feels that stuff will help manage COVID, that's his prerogative. If at the end of the day, people are going in and trying to get Ivermectin, it's like, look, here's my issue with Ivermectin. Here's my side of the Ivermectin thing. Is it meant to be like, okay, we can help you with COVID? We can help you with COVID symptoms. No, this is something that somebody was like, hey, I did this and I got better.
Yeah. And you know
what I mean?
Honest in full transparency, I have yet to hear the episode, but here's what I will tell you. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
And the reason why it doesn't matter is because the issue here is people blindly following people.
Yeah.
When you're listening to us,
yeah,
I expect you to call us out if we give wrong information.
100%.
However, we're not here as an educational flippin' podcast or to say that this is God's gospel because we're talking about it. No, question us because you're a human being and you need to find out the truth for you. And a lot of times we say stupid shit.
Yeah. And Joe Rogan will be the first to tell you a lot of times he says stupid shit on the show. He'll be the first to say it. Yeah, I sure do. But it's my fucking show, is what he's going to say.
Yeah.
But okay, for those who have a problem with Joe Rogan, you cannot have a problem with Joe Rogan and listen to Tucker Carlson and act like that's cool. I'm just saying, you honestly cannot. And I'm not trying to make this political, but let's be honest here. You cannot sit here and say Joe Rogan is spreading misinformation about COVID.
I guess it's as I said earlier, my biggest issue here is you're gonna pull your music from Spotify because of Joe Rogan.
And we don't believe that's why.
Yet you'll allow every Texas radio station to keep playing your music when tens of thousands of women and girls no longer have a choice over their own freaking body.
Absolutely. But
you're gonna go against Spotify because of some stupid doctor that sits there and's like, Ivermectin. For real?
For real? Like,
that's where your stand is?
I mean,
is with
come
Spotify?
On.
Or is it because Joe Rogan's getting paid so much?
Yeah. Joe Rogan got, I believe it was 250 or 200 million.
I don't know, but it was a lot of money
to be exclusively on Spotify. And he's the most popular podcast in the country. I don't know if it's the world. At least I do know it's in the country. And so they're like, well, he's able to reach a lot of people. Yes. So is Rachel Maddow. A lot of people listen to Rachel Maddow.
Absolutely.
A lot of people listen to Tucker Carlson. A lot of people watch CNN. A lot of people watch Fox News.
Hey, Brian Williams.
He's
got a podcast now.
Everybody watches.
Everybody has a podcast.
Everybody watches Good Morning America. You understand? It literally is the same thing. In my opinion, because it's like, look, regardless of what they're reporting on, or this is that, it's that station's opinion, it's his opinion, and they're like, you're spreading misinformation. Okay, I have to say this: if Joe Rogan took ivermectin, which I believe he said he did, we haven't watched the episode, so we're not going to pretend to be.
But I was
educated
asking
on
the kid,
it,
and he said, I think he did.
Yeah, so it's if he took ivermectin and it worked for him, kudos to you.
Whatever.
Here's the other thing we're gonna say to that. It worked for Joe Rogan. Okay, are you Joe Rogan?
Yeah. You got a body like Joe Rogan?
Everybody the same?
You got a regimen like
Is
Joe Rogan?
everybody the same?
Like
it is not.
But there's so much that is the issue here. Look, there was a man that was a president that I couldn't stand. Couldn't stand the sight of him. However, I couldn't stand the sight of him before he was the flipping president. He gave a lot of misinformation.
Yeah.
He did a lot of bad shit.
He did a lot. And everybody kept coming to his defense. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't see people pull out of the country. All you artists, I didn't see you pull out of the country.
As a matter of fact, I thought it was a few of you were supposed to be moving out of the country when you got elected.
I think the only one that did it was Johnny Depp.
He's like,
I'm sure.
I mean, look, this is why the reason we have this podcast is to put our unadulterated opinion out there, whether you like it or not. We ain't for sides of this, sides of this. This is how we feel.
I'm not going to take Ivermectin because I don't like taking medication. And I wouldn't take it if someone told me to, especially not the guy from freaking Fear Factor.
Yeah, and I'm not going to take it because I just don't agree with it.
If you're following celebrities so blindly, you need to go to a psychiatrist.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Joe Rogan can say, hey, ivermectin works. I took it and I am fine. Okay. My thing is, you know what else works? Bleach. Bleach kills every virus.
It's what we were told.
Yeah, bleach kills every virus out there, every one of them. And you know what? Here's the thing: ivermectin or whatever. Yes, there are some cases it is prescribed to humans for something else, right? But I would imagine it's not the one that's for apple flavored with a horse on it or whatever it is.
Look, we're not telling you to take bleach, and we're not telling you to take ivermectin.
But what we're saying is, ivermectin is meant for, at least the type that they're talking about is meant for horses. Bleach is meant for cleaning. You see the comparison here? Neither one are specifically meant for COVID. You know what I mean? So
But so
you know what I mean? So
Spotify has now responded to they're going to put up, which I agree with.
right.
You know, it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, here's more information on COVID.
Yeah.
Or this episode discusses COVID, and this is what the CDC says about that.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's a disclaimer, whatever. We're living in that world.
And that's another thing we got to talk about too. And another thing that's grinding our gears today is that the biggest thing here, like with this, grinding our gears. When we start talking about COVID misinformation and stuff like this, in my opinion, the CDC is probably one of the biggest ones pushing out the misinformation.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, 1 week is hey, we're getting over it, this and this and that. The next week, nope, double your mask. Nobody has the right mask. The third week is like, well, we got this and this and that. Now, that is true. But you agree with that, baby?
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it misinformation as much as I would call it
confusing,
a non-understanding of rapid changing COVID variants.
Yes.
And I just don't think they know what to do because unfortunately they've lost America.
Yeah, that is true. Nobody respects the CDC.
Nobody
as
respects
the lead
anybody in office. Nobody respects any government office now. It doesn't matter if it's the president or not. Nobody respects authority anymore.
But I do have to say this when it comes to the CDC. I will say this in their defense. The CDC, when they put out procedures and policies like, hey, this is how you're supposed to be with this disease, that comes from years and years of research. Same thing with medicines, years and years of research, right?
Sure.
Before, and they have an understanding of it, and then they're able to put it out there. The thing with COVID, it hit everybody from everywhere, and they were like, look, we don't freaking know. So as stuff is happening, and as they're finding out more and more about the disease, it's like, hey, put it out as soon as you find out. Cool. This is what's happening. And so the public is taking it as CDC don't know what the hell they're talking about. You're right. All these doctors that work with the CDC have nothing on these Facebook and YouTubers. They're putting out stuff. I don't know
if we're having to do it for this the Tide Pod generation. I don't know. But I know there was a Tide Pod challenge. I know people were stupid enough. So if that's why we have to have disclaimers now, and why people are protesting Joe Rogan because he had somebody on his show that's, whatever.
And that's the dumbest thing ever.
How is Fox News allowed to be on the air? How is Trump allowed to be president? And how come artists do not protest the state of Texas and pull their music from radio stations?
That's true.
I don't understand.
That's true.
Come on our show and make me understand.
Yeah, and
this is your invite. I have nothing against you. Nobody's gonna do it because we're on Spotify. Let me tell you something. I ain't pulling out of Spotify.
No, and here's the thing. What we gotta say,
we're not popular enough.
You get that. What we gotta say is this, and she's right. You have, Trump was able to do this. Tucker Carlson was able to say this stuff. Hell, and look, we ain't so far to the left, as they call it, as to not call out both sides. Let's face it, a lot of things that Biden says, you be like, wait, I'm fairly certain, and does. You're like, that's no.
But I've been like that with every politician.
We're like that with every politician.
Every president is a politician.
And
I've been
so
like
that's
that
what I'm saying.
Every one of them.
Let's not make it like, oh, they're Democrats. That's why. Oh, look.
No.
Here's the deal. I warned you, it's a rant. So
I'm just sick of hearing about it.
Yeah, we're sick of hearing about it. So here's the thing. Joe Rogan, if some chance you happen to glance by this podcast,
hey,
we want you to know, first of all, hey, we're big fans. To keep doing your thing, bro. Like, which he always has. Joe Rogan, like, I don't care. He didn't give a shit. Fuck you. When he said all this stuff about the transgender community, when they got mad at him when it was like, no, you should not be able to play a person who's born a male and decided to transition to a female should not be able to play in female sports. You know what I'm saying?
Look, the way I see it's a slow news week, apparently last week. And some people got some crawl, and I'm not saying I don't respect the artists, because I do. I respect every single one of them. And I'm glad they're taking a stand. But again, I challenge you to take a bigger stand.
Yeah.
And not just over Ivermectin. How about women's rights? Period. And a lot of you championed them a long time ago. So I'm asking you to get back up and go march on the great state of Texas.
And I can't. Here's what I can't understand.
Or how about Kansas? Because you know what one of these
idiots
is doing? Thank you for cleaning that up for me. He is trying to pass a bill in the state of Kansas to make pharmacists fill ivermectin prescriptions.
Along with hydroxychloroquine. He is trying to pass a bill because
And
pharmacists.
you're going after Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
I need you here, people.
Yeah. Pharmacists are refusing to fill ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine because they're not medically proven. It's off of the YouTube generation. Everybody is saying
for what it's medically used for.
for.
Parasites.
And so they're, believe it or not, look this up, folks. In Kansas, there's a politician trying to get a bill passed to literally make pharmacists fill this because the pharmacists are refusing to fill it. Like, no, there's no medical research. There's nothing out that said this is for this. They're like, doctors are prescribers and pharmacists are like, no, we're not doing that. That's illegal. You can't prescribe that for the alpha hearsay. This is how far it has gotten. But voters' rights, right? You know, people about the minorities are in danger of losing their right to vote. That's, you know, but please talk to me about ivermectin. Women are literally they literally just lost the right in Texas to decide what they can do with their bodies. Now, granted, you don't have to agree with abortion, but you do have to agree with the fact that it ain't up to the state to tell these people, these women, how and when is okay to do certain things. You understand what I'm saying? Because I am fairly certain there'd be an uproar if they said all men have to get vasectomies by this age. I'm sure there'd be an uproar. If I'm not mistaken. You know what I mean? So our biggest thing with this entire thing is that I feel like one, freedom of speech is gotten out of hand. It is used for every freedom of the press has gotten out of hand too. You know what I mean? Because taking a look at Joe Rogan, he has never claimed to be anything else but a guy that likes doing a podcast. Listen to his previous stuff. What was it? Who was he talking to? I want to say it was Dave Chappelle. That he was just like, no, I've been doing this for way longer.
Yeah,
he said I just like doing it. Way before he had listeners. He said I just like it. He said it's like therapy.
And he said, I was about to say, he said the same thing we said.
It's like therapy.
It's therapy. And it is our therapy, and it started out to be such, and it's just grown into something else.
Yeah, and it's grown into something else.
I want you guys to see. I pulled this up.
Yeah, we're not just pulling this out of our butt. Who's the senator?
I'm trying to find his name, but it says Kansas bill would force pharmacists to fill ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine as off-label COVID treatment.
Yeah, click on the link. That way
they are having a fit here. We are just so screwed here in the great state of Kansas.
And here's the thing is that, you know, this is being done because of you have these politicians, and unfortunately, like I said, not to turn into a political thing, it's a lot of Republicans that are trying to get it done.
But they're not mentioning.
They're not mentioning names.
No, of course they're not.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. So you're going to go after Joe Rogan for talking about it. But I'm living in a state where they're actually trying to force people, pharmacists, to fill the prescription.
Yeah.
And not punish doctors that fill out the prescription for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talk about misinformation.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about
That's misinformation.
Right. So where's the research being conducted on if ivermectin works? Because I feel like the ivermectin and people saying it works is, look, I'm not saying that there hasn't been doctors saying like, I prescribed it. That I prescribed it and it worked. It is proven, so on and so forth. Okay, how else do you get a medication on the shelf? How do you get a medication
Drug
on
company.
the shelf? Hey, both of you, stop it.
And what do politicians love? Drug companies.
Drug companies, yeah.
Big pharma.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to.
Sorry, our dogs are
our dogs are going back and forth, attacking each other. So, but seriously, that, you know, how else you get a drug on the shelf? It's not, hey, I did this and it worked, so yeah, go ahead, put it up on there. That's not a thing. Now, granted, I understand because COVID's going on and everybody's like, look, we need ways to curb it. Well, we kind of do got those vaccines, you know what I'm saying? Mask. I mean, I
think the biggest thing here is it's a virus, not a parasite.
Yeah, it's not a parasite. It's a virus.
And I'm not saying that medicine can't be used for something else. There's a lot of blood pressure medicine used for kidney functions. And there's, you know, aspirin, which is good for pain, is also good for the heart. You know, I mean, that's the way it happens. I believe Viagra was a failed, I forget what the I think it was supposed to be for blood pressure, and it had a side effect.
Yeah. I believe it was, yeah, big side effect.
Side effect.
A whopping side effect.
That lasts
yeah.
for 4 hours,
and
then you need to call a doctor.
Yeah, doctor. So there it is. So, but what we can say is this, other than this being our rant on this, which is what it turned out to be, and we are perfectly fine. We even talked about it, said it's probably going to be, that's probably going to be the premise.
I don't even care to pull a fishbowl topic because this needs to be said. Nobody is saying it.
You know, do not come after, and we got to say this too, because this is one thing we didn't mention. Joe Rogan's podcast started with probably very minimum listeners and then worked his way up with, I believe he got like 11 million listeners now. If I'm not mistaken, he has like 11 million or something like that listeners. And 250 or $200 million later, you know, he's a big podcaster, but at the same time, he's a big podcaster. And I get the other side saying, hey, because so many people listen to him spreading that misinformation or whatever they want to call it is a problem. You know, hey, he has to be a role model for the people that are listening to him. Says who? I mean,
I guess I've never bought into that whole thing. Like, I don't buy into that whole, oh, you're a role model, you got to conduct yourself one. I think that's old school thinking. And I think that takes the power of people to discern what is right and wrong away from them. I think it takes the responsibility off of people and puts it on the celebrity. And I think that's bullshit.
I 100% agree, because at the same time, it's like, you guys on one end, I have to say this, you can't on one end talk about, hey, it's my body, my choice, this and this and that, so on and so forth, and be for those people that are saying that stuff. Then turn around and say, hey, shame on you for putting this, saying this stuff, Joe Rogan.
Well, and you know, this is, like I said, we've got a Kansas lawmaker trying to make this happen to where, you know, people can get it prescribed. We got Joe Rogan talking about it. Again, where's the responsibility of the person to figure out for themselves what's right and what's wrong? Yeah. And on the same token, on the other side of this, so we have artists trying to cancel other artists, and I do consider him to be an artist.
Absolutely.
And then we've got an American public trying to ban books.
Oh, good one. Thank you for that one. What is it? Mouse?
Yes.
Is that the name of the book?
Even Shel Silverstein and Lord of the Flies.
Yeah. All in book, like educational stuff. Educational stuff. What was it? I think they got Huck Finn banned, right?
Yeah, and I get why that's controversial.
I get it.
However, it is an era piece.
Yeah, exactly.
It is for its time. And, you know, slap a freaking disclaimer on it. I mean, that's what everybody else does. Now,
I have to say this. You can't sit here and get rid of Huck Finn because it has the N word or whatever in there, right? But then I have noted there are books that has other, you know, discriminatory or stereotyping things in it. But Huck Finn is in, and it was like, well, it was read in school.
But why do they keep trying to erase the past?
Yeah.
They keep trying to erase the past. They keep trying to erase thought and call it misinformation, or they call it, you know, the critical race theory. Or, and let's just call it what it is. They just want everybody to look the same, act the same, and think the same.
And forget about the mistakes of the past that shaped this country.
And basically let the government do whatever they're going to do.
And
us not rise up against it. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And so, I'm not calling for anybody to rise up against the government.
Please
God knows.
Get this. This is not us sitting here saying that.
Not at all what I am saying.
We're not trying to start no rebellion against the machine.
No. I will leave the rebellion to the professionals, who is the Parks Department and the scientists and the rangers. You guys are heroes.
Yeah. And we'll go from there. So that's kind of our thing, guys. That was the main stuff that we wanted to talk to y'all about.
I'm sick of it.
Oh yeah. You guys might have noticed there was a big edit.
There was.
Yeah. So look.
And so tonight we were not unedited.
Tonight we were not unedited. We didn't have a choice. Our dog.
We had a mishap.
Yeah. Our dog decided that, you know.
We had a Nisa.
Yeah. That this was hers, and she wanted to prove to the world that this was hers. So yeah. So we had to go.
She's 4 months old and doesn't understand the concept of where she should take a poop.
And that's what it boils down to.
Or she just was letting us know what she thought of our podcast. There's that.
Yeah, you guys take too long. And on that note,
apparently
guys,
she's more discerning than Joe Rogan's listeners.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. But anyway, hey guys, that's our take on a lot of stuff that has happened over the past This was all in the past week.
We just had to get it out.
Yeah, we just had to get it out, man. Look, whether you listen, you like it, we don't care. We just wanted to get it out. Because it's the same thing with Joe Rogan. We do this because we like it.
Yeah.
We do this because it's what we like to do. It's our therapy.
That's what we do.
Check it out. You guys can make sure you check out NFTs at crypto.com under Misty, the Tumultuous Tiki, the Crypto Cookie, and a few others. DMWATSpodcast.com is where you guys can find us, all the streaming services.
Including Spotify.
Including Spotify. Hopefully Spotify like, hey, we gotta get rid of y'all too. Anyway,
all right,
now
pay me 200 million.
Yeah,
I'll leave.
200 million, we'll be on our way.
That'll be fine.
Yeah. So Toad, AMC, and Shiva, and we about that same time too. Hey, Nisa says bye in the best way that she possibly can. But hey, yeah.
She's a podcast pooper.
Yeah, podcast pooper.
Serial podcast pooper.
Yeah. Signing off for DMWATS Podcast. I am Baby.
I'm Misty.
We'll catch you guys on the next one where we're a little less.
No guarantee.
Yep.